It's the Good Morning Show.
Yes.
The Klutch Kickers Good Morning Show coming to you live from the Freedom Factory. Yes, we are back at it again.
Yep.
We avoided some rough weather. We unfortunately had to cut the top 64 almost in the middle just because of the rain conditions. I think, Ben, you said earlier, it turned into Lake Freedom. Right? It was so much rain down here. So as you can see in the replay there, just the water, just a tremendous. That's actually Mr. Cletus himself trying to clean off the track. The water was just relentless. The rain just wouldn't stop. And this center section of this track is very slippery and very dangerous. But we're about ready to get our first battle on. And our first battle is going to be Adam LZ versus Ethan Pardell. By the way, my name is Tim Murphy, and I got my co-host Captain Ben. We're part of Drift Sessions, and we are here giving you the play-by-play today for Klutch Kickers at the Freedom Factory in beautiful Bradenton, Florida.
And let's remind folks again, our judges, Will Parsons, Dwayne Ramsey, and Jeremy Lowe, they're going to be deciding these battles, and it's going to be sort of like a sudden death. We're going to try to run through these battles as quickly as possible. Time is of the essence. We're trying to beat the weather conditions. It's not in our favor throughout the whole weekend, and let's try to make this happen. I mean, we still got to finish top 64.
Right. We're trying to finish top 64. This is going to be the Drift Gauntlet. It's going to be a battle of will and machine. These drivers are going to be going nonstop all the way to the finals. We are not taking breaks. We are just going back-to-back. And here we go. Adam LZ taking off down the straight, putting about a car and a half on Ethan Pardell as they make their way through the first outer zone. Both cars attacking that first outer zone very well. Ethan trying to close that gap. Man, look at Adam, nice and high on that wall, but way off that first inside clip. Now they're cutting to the inside. Ethan Pardell's kind of a little shallow on his angle, but closing that gap as he make their way through the second outer zone. Adam doing a great job of putting out that smoke, showing full commitment, little shallow through that second outer zone. Now they're flicking through the third and final outer zone. Ethan trying to close that gap, still about maybe half a car behind, but great job. Those of you that are here,
see his hand out. Adam LZ might have an issue.
Was that a 5? I don't know. Let's see the replay here. But
yeah, so this is sort of like a repeat of what happened yesterday on their first battle, because this is a one more time battle. Adam LZ high on the bank where he needs to be, but it looks like he just overshoots it exiting the bank and really puts him in an awkward position switching back over to the infield, knocking down that inner clip. And as he works his way through the second outer zone, not bad, but we might have something. Ethan getting really close, no contact there, thank goodness, and just finish it off, and nothing crazy, but immediately something happened there that caused him to call 5 minutes.
Yeah, and we're like I said, this is a gauntlet. We're nonstop. We're just going to go back to back. We're running the next battle while Adam LZ gets his 5 minutes and gets his car sorted out. Right now we're going into a battle between Wyatt Webb and Sebastian Gauthier. And Sebastian running that beautiful blue S15. Just look at that car. It's amazing. And Wyatt Webb in that white 350Z. Both capable drivers. We got to see them a little bit yesterday, but unfortunately because of the rain, they weren't able to put down the runs I'm sure they were looking for. But yeah, like I said, this is going to be just back-to-back, nonstop drift action. I mean, if you're just tuning in, I'm just letting you know we are Klutch Kickers, $100,000 Drift Series, round 1 of Season 3 at the Freedom Factory in beautiful Bradenton, Florida. We got a beautiful weather right now, but like I was mentioning, we are trying to get through because there is bad weather, according to the radar, that's going to be coming through here around 2 or 3 o'clock. So we're trying to get through the rest of the top 64 and all the way to the finals before that rain hits.
And it's imperative that we try to get these battles going, because as soon as it rains, there's just so much downtime waiting for the rain to stop, then to dry, and it takes a lot to dry up and then get going again.
It just takes way too much time, unfortunately. You guys can go ahead, and if you want to watch the live bracket to see if your favorite driver has been up or if he's about to go up, you can go check out the live bracket at clutchkickers.com/100K Drift Series. And here they go. Sebastian's out in front, about a 2 or 3 car gap on Wyatt as they make their way through the first outer zone. Sebastian pouring on the smoke, a lot of commitment. Nice and tight and high on that bank, coming through, see if he can get, a little far off that inside clip. Oh, Wyatt Webb, unfortunately, spinning out, coming off the bank. So Sebastian, he's just got to hold it together. So hopefully he's got his teammate in his ear saying, hey, Sebastian, you got this, run in the bag. Just hold it together, make a full pull, and you're going to walk away with the advantage. And it looks like he is. All right, Sebastian looks to have the advantage over Wyatt Webb going into run number 2.
I'm curious to see what happened.
Well,
what happened to Wyatt?
Well, let's take a look at it, play by play.
Yeah, I mean, you have him going on the bank. I mean, there was a considerable distance going into it, so Wyatt was really struggling to close that proximity, but I just think I don't know what happened. It just makes no sense. But Sebastian did a great job throughout the rest of the course. I was worried about him on the outer zone number 3. Seemed like he was trying to be careful with it. He did scrape the wall, I think, during practice. But other than that, Wyatt has to now apply the pressure.
Yeah, so Wyatt's job right now, he has to put that 100-point lead run. What I mean by 100-point is that the lead driver is trying to put a nice qualifying run. But Sebastian, just really, is he going to play it safe, or is he going to get deep in the pocket? Let's see as they go around the first outer zone. Sebastian, about a car or so behind. Now he's starting to dive into that pocket there. Wyatt Webb also missing that first inside clip. Now they cut through the infield. Sebastian right there with a nice transition, side by side, almost mirror imaging Wyatt. A little wobble as Sebastian's in the chase there. Whoa! Oh, man. Well, that looks like that was a nail in the coffin. And, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to say, but
it's pretty clear. I mean, I want to know the judges already just tell him just to go back. The decision was made. I mean, Wyatt spinning out on both his chase and lead runs, and
yeah. Well, unfortunate for Wyatt Webb. He seemed to have double zeroed. He zeroed his lead run and zeroed his chase run. So it looks like he's going to be calling it a day. And Sebastian. But we're going to wait for the official decision from the judges. As Captain Bennett mentioned earlier, our judges are Will Parson, Dwayne Ramsey, and Jeremy Lowe. Up next, we have our next battle that's going to be coming, which is... That looks like Joseph Love versus Jonathan Nairn. Yeah, that's like, I assume that's Jonathan Nairn right there. That's 14. Oh, and there you go. We have our winner. Yep, Sebastian Gutierrez is going to advance on. Wyatt Webb is going to call it a day. So we will see Sebastian again in the top 32 very soon. Like I said, we're going to be going back to back and just it's like a drift machine gun. I mean, we're just loading the clips and sending them.
Right. And these guys are going to have to ensure that these cars are reliable. They're going to hold up for a full day of battle competition.
Right. As I mentioned before, you guys can check out the live bracket at clutchkickers.com/100K Drift Series. And you just continue to refresh the page as the day goes on, and you will see the different brackets populate, and you'll see the winners as we go on. And here we go. Nairn out front, about 2 or 3 cars as you go into the first outer zone, banging off the rev limiter, nice and high on that wall. Joseph's got to try to close that gap if he has any chance of trying to take the victory over Nairn as they make their way through the infield. Oh, man, Joseph Love just way back there. Unfortunately, Nairn just putting a nice, deep run as he makes his way through that second outer zone. And, unfortunately, Joseph Love spinning, trying to catch up. You know, it's a lot of pressure as a driver to go against a faster car.
Right.
Jonathan Nairn.
And when you see the power difference so evident, you're trying to do whatever you can and whatever tool in your arsenal to try to just make up the difference. But oftentimes it's just not enough.
Right. And as you can see in the screen, Joseph Love not having the traction or the grip that Nairn has. Trying to close that gap, run a shallow line. Look how shallow that line is. I mean, he's running about as shallow line as possible to try to close that gap, and unfortunately, it put him in a bad situation. When he got into that concrete pad, he just unfortunately spun. So now they're going to change roles, and now Nairn's going to chase. Wow, look at that smoke.
Where are they?
Where are they?
What's going on?
Mist. It was in the mist.
Oh, I thought we had to adjust some white balance or brightness over here.
No, we're good. We're good. And there they go. Joseph out front. Nairn giving him a little gap there. I don't know if he's playing it safe. That is a tactic some of these drivers will use if they know they have the advantage. They just need to have a decent chase in order to take the victory. But here we go. Nairn staying about 2 or 3 cars back. Now he's surging forward as they make their way through. Wow, Joseph right on that outer edge. Doing a good job as they make their way into the third and final outer zone. Definitely a better run from Joseph in the lead position. Nairn right there with him, able to close the gap towards the end.
Yeah, I think it was pretty clear from the start. Well, I wouldn't say from the start, but close to the start, as Joseph Love just goes into the bank and knocks down some of those cones that the judges were very clear about during the qualifying section, is that you knock down those yellow cones in the mid-section, mid-apron.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to give you a 0. So I wouldn't be surprised if already Joseph Love gave the victory to Jonathan Aaron.
Wow. Okay, so as the judges finish that decision, but we're going to get Adam LZ and Ethan Parnell up to the line to finish the second half of that battle. And it looks like we're about to have our decision. Oh, there you go. Naren gets the win. Naren's going to advance on to the top 32. And now we have the second half of this battle between Adam LZ and Ethan Parnell. Ethan Parnell is going to lead. Adam LZ is going to give chase. So this is going to be an interesting battle. This is definitely one of the closest tandem battles we've had in the competition so far. So we'll see what happens here. It's very interesting, as Ben mentioned. One of the things that we look for, or the judges are looking for, are certain areas of the track where the cars have to be online, and around that first outer zone there are several yellow cones, and those are inside markers, and the judges did tell the drivers that if they knock down any of those yellow cones, it will equate to a 0, except for the last one. But here they go. Adam LZ almost right on the back bumper of Ethan as they make their way through the first outer zone. Ethan nice and high on that bank. Adam LZ right there with them within feet. They're coming through. Ethan does take out that inside clip as they make their way through the infield, takes out the second inside clip, but they're making their way through the second outer zone. Adam LZ doing a great job staying right there, matching angle for angle, speed for speed. Now they're flicking into the third and final outer zone. Whoa, throwing a lot of, Ethan tapping the wall, not phasing Adam LZ as they come off the track. That was a great chase by Adam LZ.
I mean, it looked like going into exiting the outer zone, exiting the bank, both Adam LZ and Ethan had issues. You saw that Adam overshot the exit, and then Ethan, though, he went in too tight, knocking down that inner clip, knocking down that other inner clip. But then I feel like they were pretty even throughout based on those two mistakes from both of these drivers, but I think here might be the deciding factor, with Ethan just going way too hot, tapping that wall, slowing down way too much. Almost, you could argue, maybe straining a little bit.
It did set off his line, but Adam did a great job of adjusting and be able to adapt in that situation and not collide with Ethan, because that wall tap, not only did it take the angle out of Ethan's car, but it slowed him down. So it was a great job by Adam LZ in the chase position, but both drivers in the lead position did have their issues. Adam overshooting the first inside clip, Ethan taking out the first inside clip. So lead run for lead run. We'll see how the judges are going to score that. Chase run for chase run. Adam LZ definitely more in the pocket.
Right.
And applying more pressure and being able to adapt in those situations. But it looks like we do have results. And we're just going to wait for those to come up on the screen. All right. Slide them right for Adam LZ. Slide them left for Ethan Parnell. You'll see those yellow arrows light up. The suspense is killing me.
Yes.
I hope it lasts.
Okay.
All right.
So there you have it.
Adam LZ is going to take the win. A little issue there with the graphic there, but Adam LZ is going to advance on to the top 32. Adam LZ taking out Ethan Parnell. Ethan is going to have to call it a weekend, unfortunately, but Adam LZ doing a great job, and I believe he won it in that chase position, doing a great job. Congratulations to Adam LZ. All right, and they're off. Eric Honklink leading. Jaden Martirana, one of our youngest competitors, actually the youngest competitor here at 13 years of age, making his way around the track. Whoa, diving in, getting really aggressive. Jaden trying to, Eric straightening out, coming off the bank. Jaden right there with him, trying to stay aggressive. I'm not really sure what's going on here, if something happened with Eric's car. But Eric Conklin in that blue S14 Jaden Martirana, as I mentioned, he's with Team Jackson Performance, our youngest driver at the age of 13 with about a year and a half experience. Here you go. You see the replay. Eric looks like he's doing a good job, and I will say that Jaden seeming to have some issues in the chase, kind of wobbling a little bit, and then Eric Conkling just kind of shuts it down right there.
Right.
And very interesting.
Yeah, immediately calls Zach over for assistance. The tow truck is out, and we're trying to get a handle of what's going on over here. Jaden, though, doing a good job of avoiding any sort of contact. And when you have two cars, tandems, trying to get as close to one another, it's a concern to worry about. Is where you have the lead car having issues, and you want to still keep driving.
Right,
correct. But luckily nothing happened, and Eric just needs to sort his car out.
Oh, look right there. There you go. Looks like he
okay.
broke a tie rod right there in the front. The wheel on the passenger side is just totally inside there.
Well, that makes sense. We didn't get to see that from this angle over here, from where we're looking at it.
This is gonna be big for Jaden Martirana,
right? Because
Jaden, unfortunately, his chase, he was wobbling in the chase position. Right, he was struggling to try to keep up. It looked like, I do have to mention these drivers have not had any practice today.
Right.
I mean, it was just you got to understand these drivers are basically their cars are cold. They're coming out. Only thing they get to do is warm up their tires, and we are just banging out these runs back to back.
They were basically told, just show up and drive.
Just show up and shut up and drive. Basically, you have a complaint. Well, shut up and drive because we need to get through this. We don't want to have to be shut down. We want to be able to complete this. We want to be able to complete this event today. We don't want it to get shut down because of the rain.
Right. And usually you'll have top 32 and top 16 opening ceremonies, and I don't even think we'll have the opportunity to do any of that. But let's see what happens. But Eric is still waiting to get his car fished out. And in the meantime, I do believe we have our next competitors lined up and ready. But they can't go until Eric is off the track.
Yeah, the next lineup looks to be, I believe that's, it should be Ryan Acevedo, also known as Ryan Avocado, versus Jay Caputo.
Right.
So that's going to be a 350Z versus 350Z battle. But unfortunately, we have to get Eric's car off. As you can see, that wheel just digging in. Just that tie rod just not staying in place.
And we mentioned, too, that like these cars have to be in tip-top shape in order to make it through today. And you only get 1 5-minute timeout.
Yeah.
So the pressure is going to be on for Eric throughout the rest of the competition because he can't afford any other mistakes. He can't afford any other issues.
Because unfortunately, they only are allowed 1 5-minute timeout. The time is going to begin once his car gets in the pits, and they're going to start the clock, and then he's going to have that time. It looks like it may be a simple repair, but now his alignment, there's a good chance his alignment's going to be off as well.
Actually, slight correction.
What?
His time will start once his car is on jack stands.
Oh, well, that's good.
Right.
That's definitely beneficial. So he'll have that extra. Every second counts when you're trying to make that repair. And so the issue here is not so much. Well, I guess it could be the damage. Was it a control arm? Was it something major? Or was it just a tie rod that broke? If it's just a tie rod that broke, something simple could be changed out very quickly. But then again, we go back to his alignment is definitely going to be off.
Correct. But then the other question is, does he have a spare part?
Well, these drivers, hopefully they are ready for that, especially with the 240s. They do. There you go. There's Eric. He's there. He is. He's actually inside the car. It's like a little parade there. He's got the Eric Conkling float. So, but it looks like we're sending the next two cars to the burnout box, and we're going to get the next battle underway shortly.
Just thinking back to the phrase "can't conk the bonk."
Oh, can't conk the bonk. Yep. Eric.
Or can't bonk the conk.
Can't bonk the conk. That's what it was.
Right.
Yep. Eric, a longtime favorite, native of Orlando, and just always at the events. And you know what I find interesting is Eric Conkling battling against Jaden Martirana. Jaden being 13 years old. Well, it wasn't too long ago where Eric was the young the young kid on the block, right? He was the young one. He was the just a child prodigy, right? Coming out there drifting at such a young age. So it's interesting to see two drivers, one driver able to relate to the other driver, and they're both building a great program. Jaden doing a great job, along with Jackson Performance and Empire Auto, providing that beautiful Chevy Corvette for him to be able to come out and compete with. But right now we have our next battle, which is going to be Ryan Acevedo. Ryan Acevedo is going to lead. Jay is going to give chase, and we're lined up and just about ready to go. Ryan's going to want to put as much distance on Jay as they make their way down the straight. Jay's going to want to try to stay in that pocket. Ryan, a well-seasoned driver, definitely no stranger to clutch kickers, a fierce competitor throughout the seasons, always known to go door to door and have several hard-fought battles. But here they go. Ryan putting about 2 or 3 car gap as they make their way into the first outer zone. Ryan doing a great job getting high on that wall. Jay really trying to close that gap, probably about 3 or 4 cars back. Wow, Ryan really missing that first inside clip, but here they go as they work their way through the infield and into the second outer zone. Jay still pretty far back. Ryan running a shallow line through that second outer zone, but Jay is just unfortunately not closing that gap as much as we would like to see. Towards the end there, as they both come through the third and final outer zone, he's a little closer, but that was a significant gap that Ryan was able to pull from the start.
Right, but Ryan's run wasn't perfect either.
No, it wasn't.
He had issues coming off the bank, just as we've seen some of the other drivers do. And then talking about outer zone 2, he went in on the inside. He needed to be on the outside of it. But at the same time, we have Jay, who just was struggling with his own set of issues, lack of power, having to kind of go shallow angle to try to close that gap. But
yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the cleanest run from either driver. This is the second half of this battle, and Jay is going to lead. Ryan's going to give chase. Ryan much closer in the chase position, getting on the throttle as they make their way through the first outer zone. You see Ryan trying to dive into, wobble from Ryan in that chase position, able to hold it together and flick it in as they work their way. Wow, look at Ryan surging almost right on the door of Jay as they make their way into the second outer zone. Jay, not too much smoke coming out, very shallow angle. Definitely looks like, I hear him kicking that clutch. It sounds like got a little D, right? I can hear that notable sound of that 350Z. So Jay definitely seems to be the underpowered car in this battle. Ryan doing a good job chasing a lower horsepower car.
Right, but Ryan just struggling to. It was just a weird correction that just set off his car and put it into a weird position. But Jay just trying to do whatever he can to just. But look at that. That got really close there as Ryan's closing the gap. But you have that power difference, so you have the luxury of being able to do that. But I think Ryan may have gotten carried a little away at some points, but
yeah,
obvious mistakes from both drivers on both fronts.
Absolutely. One thing I did notice is that when we're watching that replay from the overhead drone, that it did look like Jay took out one of those yellow cones. As we mentioned before, there are yellow cones throughout the first outer zone. Those cones that are low on the bank, those cones are basically the judges said do not hit those cones. It can equate to a 0 except for the last cone. I believe they did say the last cone is not going to equate to a 0, but they really want the drivers to be deep in that first outer zone.
Let's take a look here. So as Jay goes in, he's midline. No.
That last one. But
yeah, that one's fine.
That one's fine.
That one is fine. It's not going to, judges said that heavy deduction, but not necessarily a 0.
But Jay definitely seemed to be the more underpowered car in this battle. Doing a great job trying to throw down against the more experienced Ryan Acevedo as they work their way off the track. Folks, as you guys are watching, you'll notice this track, the way it's designed, it is a bank track, it is an oval track, and they are utilizing a center section of the track. Oh, wait, it looks like we have a winner. While we're holding on that, we also want to thank everybody that's made it out here today. We want to thank the drivers. Once again, this is the Klutch Kickers Season 3, Round 1 of the $100,000 Drift Series at the lovely Freedom Factory. Cletus and his crew doing a great job of just supporting the drift scene, right? Not wanting to see Klutch Kickers have to struggle to be able to continue a Season 3, providing this facility in order to keep Clutch Kickers alive. And this collaboration is something that I could see growing into just a really strong series as the years go by, just getting better and better.
And most importantly, we want to thank the fans for coming out this early.
Absolutely.
For this morning show.
That's right, for the morning show. This is the morning show, Clutch Kickers Morning Show, brought to you by Freedom Factory.
So while we wait for the judges, we have a decision.
Oh, there we go. Looks like Ryan Acevedo is going to go ahead and take the win. Ryan Acevedo is going to take the win. Ryan Acevedo going to be in the top 32. So he's got his hands full. He needs to take his car back, make sure he checks everything, because the battles are just going to get tougher and tougher as the day goes on.
So we have a Corvette battle coming up. Taylor Hall against Joshua Stewart. Joshua Stewart, was it during practice or qualifying? Practice, I believe, right?
Yes.
Practice, just sending that car into the wall on the final outer zone. And we thought the car was done for, but him and his team, they
did a great job of getting it back up and going.
Right. But Taylor Hall, 2020 Series champion, in a new car, retired the Cadillac, and now in a Corvette.
Still Chevy, still very similar livery design. And here they go as they make their way down the straight. Taylor Hall is in front in that Cop Cam's Chevy Corvette, working his way nice and high on the wall, dragging that left foot brake as he makes his way through. Whoa, a little wobble there from Joshua, and Taylor Hall just leaving him in the dust as he makes his way through the infield. Taylor Hall coming through the second outer zone, full throttle. Could be a little deeper, but that's smoke coming out of the back of the Chevy Corvette, just putting a smoke screen right in front of Joshua, putting it all in his face. But here we go, coming off the track. That was interesting. Joshua looked like he had a little trouble there on the first outer zone.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think this is only the second time he's driven this car on the track.
And the first time he crashed. So Joshua, not having any practice in that car, in the first practice run, having an accident. So this was literally the second run in that car for him this weekend.
And he rented that car.
Correct.
So this is the vehicle that's provided by Zach from Clutch Kickers, and Joshua Stewart was like, yeah, I'll take it up.
I'll take it up. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to get enough seat time behind it, and it's showing. But he was able to pull off a full run.
Right. But Taylor Hall in control.
Well, so that's the thing, right? Going up against a veteran like Taylor Hall with only 2 runs and a new car, you're not doing yourself any favors. But here we go. Joshua out in front. Taylor Hall is going to get chased. Taylor Hall very aggressive from the chase position as they make their way through the first outer zone. As you can see, much better job by Joshua through the bank this time. Taylor Hall sticking right there with him. Nice mirroring angle as they flick it into the second outer zone. Taylor Hall staying right there with him, giving about a car or so gap in front. And now as they make their way through the third and final outer zone, it is a pavement change, which is going to be a grip change. So the drivers have to be aware. Taylor Hall showing his experience in that chase position for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and you got to wonder, Joshua Stewart still learning the car. This isn't his car, and he was midline on the bank, as you can see over here. I mean, making adjustments, I don't know. I don't see it going any other way.
I don't right now. Like you said, Joshua just in that rented car and going against Taylor Hall, a veteran, a man that is just known to be very aggressive and very composed driver.
Right. I mean, Taylor Hall was known to have the fastest and the biggest car on track with the Cadillac.
Yep, and it looks like the judges have come up with a decision. As you can see, Taylor Hall on the right and Joshua Stewart on the left. There you go.
Yeah,
Taylor Hall's going to advance. Jeremy Lowe, Will Parsons, Dwayne Ramsey, all a unanimous decision. Taylor Hall's going to make his way to the top 32, so we will see him shortly. As we continue to bang out these battles, we're going to see the second half of this battle between Jaden Martirana and Eric Conklin. Jaden in that Chevy Corvette, Jackson Performance, Empire Auto. Once again, we do mention that Jaden Martirana, only 13 years of age, has a birthday coming up soon, though.
Oh.
So the next time we see him, I believe he will be 14, with about a 1.5 year experience already. So this is the second run, as you can see on the screen. Jaden on the left, Eric on the right. Both drivers out here to battle. Both drivers want to take home that cash prize at the end of the day, but only one can advance. So here we go. Jaden out front. Eric going to give chase. Jaden doing a good job trying to get his brake, put some gap on Eric, but Eric's right there with them as they make their way. Jaden shallow angle as he works his way into the first outer zone. Eric not being phased, staying right there with them. They're both cars flicking it into the infield. Jaden still trying to stay away, but here we go. Eric's trying to close that gap, kind of shave that line a little bit as they make their way through that second outer zone. Jaden and Eric both going to slow up a little bit as they work their way through the third and final outer zone. Eric doing a good job closing the gap from start to finish. Give it up for Jaden and Eric. That was a good battle.
Right.
Much cleaner, much better than the first half.
Right. But you could argue that perhaps Jaden could have done more. He did have issues throughout the course. You see midline to the bank. And then he wasn't really getting a lot of angle going out into the outer zones like he needed to be. But he has a clear advantage from the previous one. As Eric, as you saw, he had that mechanical issue.
Correct.
And so it may
end up being in Jaden's favor. So we'll see how the judges are going to deliberate on this call. But, what the good thing also you got to remember is that Eric had to repair his car. He was able to repair his car in a short amount of time. So he was probably also battling some alignment issues. There's a good chance he had to battle some alignment issues. But Eric doing a great job in the chase. He's definitely he's a veteran of the sport when it comes to drifting and tandeming and battling it out. So we've seen Eric Conkling develop throughout the years as a more capable driver and just every event come out better and better. But unfortunately, it may have been a mechanical issue that have taken him out of this competition. But we'll see. Let's see. Oh, there you have it.
One more time.
One more time. All right. So the judges saw something and say, hey, listen, we need to send these guys one more time. And that's I'm sure Eric right now is counting his blessings because he's going to have a chance once again to make his way into the top 32.
Well, he better not break another tie rod. I'll say that.
But next up, we have the battle between Michael Elsey in that V8-powered, LS-powered Toyota Supra versus Miles Flick. So Miles Flick, not hearing that name in a while.
Right.
He's definitely been around drifting for quite some time, so it's good to see him out here and battling it out. But he's not going to have it easy against the capable driver of Michael Elsey. Michael Elsey, another Klutch Kickers veteran, a close friend with Taylor Hull, and he's out here to do battling. He's out here to win. All these drivers are just doing what they can to be able to get that cash prize and get those points in order to take out Alec Hunnadale, the current champion from Season 2. But here they go. Whoa! My goodness. There he goes. He's still going. He's going. He's got his hood. He's not really caring. But even though the judges did say if something opens up, it's a 0.
It doesn't matter.
But there you go. This is the time where you want to break your phones out and you want to record this. You want to remember this as he makes his way around the second outer zone. Michael Elsey not being phased. Oh, he's not. Holy my goodness. I have no words. I have no words to say. No words to say.
He made it around the track.
Yeah, he made it around the track.
He put on a show.
He made it around track. He didn't spin. Oh, what a shame.
Look at this. Here we go. And
boom. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, it didn't even phase him at all. He's like, okay, I think this is where I got to start initiating.
Yeah, I think it was like for maybe a split second. He was like, oh, it hit, my hook came up, but oh, well, I'm going to keep going.
Right.
And just full send. Look at the angle he throws through that inside, that second inside clip there. Oh, Michael Elsey. Showing a lot of heart, showing that he's going to compete no matter what. So he's very unfortunate though. One of the things that the judges that part of the rule book is any of the doors. If your doors open up, your hatch opens up, your trunk opens up, your hood opens up, that is going to unfortunately equate to a 0.
Correct.
The judges don't want to see. We don't want to see parts flying off. So the drivers and the pit crew need to be sure that everything's securely fastened. That's another integral part of competitive drifting is being able to have a team that is going to support you by making sure your car is ready to go. Unfortunately, it's just something that was overlooked, or maybe something broke. I don't know, but he did call his 5 minutes timeout.
I gotta say that car has just so much notoriety Remember when it first came onto the scene, everyone was up in arms about it being LS powered.
Right.
It was like, oh, it's sacrilege. How can you take off the 2J that came from that vehicle?
I was one of those.
Right.
He took a 2J out of a Supra and he put an LS in. I was like, that's just not right. But
Right.
it's a proven platform, and he's done very well in it. Up at the line we have, is that Joao Baran?
No,
From
I
Brazil.
believe. Well, right now on the camera we have Sammy Tiger.
That's Sammy Tiger, yes, in the camera. Sammy Tiger, a veteran here. What I was talking before is being a driver. That is a part, and it's a very important part, obviously, of a competitive drifter's career. But even a more integral part, as these drivers are trying to grab sponsors, they're trying to develop a program. They need to have those key parts in their program, and one of the key parts is having a spotter and a good pit crew. But it looks like we are lining up Klein Barfield and Colette Davis. Colette Davis in that almost looks like tie-dye kind of, the yellow and pink and green, very colorful, very bright Chevy Corvette, and Klein Barfield in that 350Z. But as I was mentioned, yes, so there's several parts of these drivers as they're developing a professional program that they need to have in place to be able to compete at this level. You need a good crew to help you get the car repaired, and you need a good spotter, somebody that you trust that can help you improve run after run. But as you see on the screen, we have Colette Davis versus Barfield. That's going to come up here, and Colette Davis is going to lead. Barfield is going to give chase. Colette Davis, another consistent competitor of the Clutch Kickers $100,000 Drift Series, and they look like they're locked and loaded and set to go. Judges are ready. Line is ready. They're getting the lights set. And we're going to get this battle underway. And there you go, Colette Davis and Barfield taking off the gate. Colette putting about 3-car gap on Barfield as they make their way around the first outer zone. Colette trying to get high on that bank, bring it back inside on the inside clip, doing a great job, getting nice and tight on that first inside clip. They work their way through the infield, flicking into the second outer zone. Wow, really closing that gap as they make their way through that second outer zone. Colette not phased, staying composed in the driver's seat as she makes her way through the third and final outer zone. Whoa, major correction by Barfield, unfortunately. You guys may notice that air filter coming out of the hood of his car. I believe he did that because of all the rain.
That's an air filter?
Yeah, that's an air filter. He was. We had all that rain. Like you said, it was Lake Freedom Factory over here, and he took his filter, put it up, because last thing you need to do is hydrolock that engine. So that's. But as you can see here, making away, Colette doing a good job, running mid-line through that second outer zone, but still getting nice and wide towards the end. Unfortunately, it looks like Barfield making a lot of mistakes, especially right here. Straightens right out. And it looks to me as if Colette Davis is right now currently standing with the advantage.
And you're seeing a pattern here of these underpowered cars struggling to keep up and just doing whatever they can, and sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah, so with a track like this, power is better. More power is better, definitely. It's going to keep you high up on the bank. You're going to be able to attack it. You're going to get more speed going into that bank. But here, as the roles change, Colette is now has to chase a lower horsepower car, so she is kind of hanging back because she knows she's going to be able to close that gap as she makes her way through the first outer zone, and she is. As you can see, she's closing that gap. Whoa, she run way wide, though, unfortunately. Wow. Oh, no. Colette Davis straightening out, coming to the infield. Oh, this is going to be one of those difficult to judge calls. And
Well, the run isn't over yet.
no, it's not over yet. So that was a pretty major correction right there. If you saw Barfield's wheels going almost straight there as he made his way through the third outer zone. Wow.
I have to wonder what happened here. I mean, Colette Davis was really, with the advantage, and she was just playing a little safe, just giving him distance. Obviously aware of the power difference, and then trying to make it up. But I just think that it was just overshooting that section of the course.
Yeah. One of the things I do want to point out, those of you that are tuning in, you do notice right here is a great idea. It gives you a great idea. See the pavement change? You see the paddock being all concrete, and you see the tarmac of the second outer zone. that's a very integral part for the drivers to be able to focus on, because the surface of the road, the course changes drastically. You're going from a high grip bank down into this concrete slab, essentially, in the center here. So the drivers have to be aware, because the grip difference in your car when it's on the tarmac versus what it is on the concrete is not the same. The concrete is going to be more slippery, so the drivers are going to have to enter that area with caution, because if they throw it too hard, it's going to cause them to spin. But it looks like the judges have come up with a decision. It's going to be slide him left for Barfield, slide him right for Colette Davis. As you see, our judges: Will Parson, Dwayne Ramsey, and Jeremy Lowe. One more time.
Okay, one more time.
There you go.
Okay.
One more time. That's another one more time battle.
Correct.
And so they're going to have a chance to go change tires and go back at it again. And here it looks like we're going to finish the second half of the Michael Elsey and Miles Flick battle. Unfortunately, Michael Elsey, he's definitely coming with a major deficit as he approaches the line. Miles Flick, he's going to be leading this time, so he just has to put a nice lead run down, and as long as he can hold it together, he should be able to walk away with the victory. Very unfortunate for Michael Elsey. Michael Elsey actually is going to be having a child soon, so he's going to be a dad soon.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Michael Elsey, new sponsor by Rocket Racing Wheels. He's also sponsored by Mid-Pond Raceway, Solvent Division, and Atlas Appliance Repair. Coming to us from Hoover, Alabama, riding that Super with LS3. Miles Flick, no stranger to competition, here to throw down and put down a good lead run. If Miles Flick can put down that good lead run, he should be able to edge out the victory over Michael Elsey. But let's see, anything can happen, as we've seen throughout the weekend. Both drivers, now Michael's going to apply that pressure right out of the gate as they make their way through that first outer zone. Michael is just going to try to apply that pressure as much as he can to Miles to try to cause Miles to make a major mistake. But right now, Miles Flick staying calm, cool, and collective. Unfortunately, whoa, Michael Elsey having a major bobble through that second outer zone. But whoa, Miles Flick having a major slowdown, though. We'll see how that plays into the judges' eyes as they make their way out the course. Interesting.
Well, it's great to see that Michael kept his hood closed this time around.
It is. It is good to see that he was able to latch that sucker down.
And I'm sure it helped with his driving, because he was able to see where Miles was at, apply the pressure, try to close that proximity. And unfortunately, it just for Michael is problems continued as he as he straightened out, entering the outer zone number 3. I'm sorry, number 2. My apologies. But Miles, though, he had a checkup over here, and then you could maybe argue, was it unchaseable? Did he slow down significantly? But
I don't know. It's a good question. But I will tell you that what I did notice is as Michael Elsey was throwing it into that second outer zone, he just threw so much angle. Oh, there we go. We have a decision. Miles Flick is advancing on to top 32. Unfortunately, Michael Elsey is going to have to pack it in, but just very unfortunate, very unfortunate. So, but up next we have the one more time battle between Jaden Martirana and Eric Conkling. Eric Conkling going to lead, Jaden going to give chase. Judges seem ready, track seems ready, the day seems ready, we are ready, everybody's ready. It's a beautiful morning here. And once again, I want to thank you for joining the Clutch Kickers Morning Show, presented by Freedom Factory. It's a beautiful day with some excellent drivers, and here they go, making it down straight. Eric pulling about a car and a half on Jaden as they make their way through that first one. Eric doing a great job. Look how high on that bank Eric is. Jaden's right there with him, running slightly shower line. Oh, no, Jaden! Oh, man, coming in too hot off the bank. Unfortunately, spinning out, giving Eric. Eric just needs to maintain composure, get a full pull, finish this run without incident, and he's going to be able to walk away with the advantage going into the second half of this battle. Give it up for these drivers. They're just doing a great job. But unfortunately, poor Jaden just coming off that track so hot like that. I don't know if he got lost in the smoke but he was just a little wide and unfortunately spun coming off the bank. As you can see, look at Eric doing a great job, staying nice and high on the bank, filling out the zone as he's supposed to. He almost inches at that first clip, and it just seemed like Jaden maybe run a slightly shallower line, put himself in an awkward position as he was coming off the bank. It looked like Jaden was coming off the bank a little faster than Eric. Had to make that correction to avoid collision. But this is all for him to just build his experience. As we mentioned, he's only 13 years old. Doing a great job with his father, developing a program, and with Jackson Performance as well out here. I know we're going to see him for many, many years to come.
Right. I'm sure Eric is telling him, like, hey, I've been there, pal.
Yeah, exactly, right? These two drivers can get together, and Eric could be like, hey, listen, I've been exactly in your shoes, so I know what you're going through. Give him some words of encouragement and words of wisdom as well. So here we go as they change position. Jaden, he's going to put down that 100-point lead run if possible. They make their way across and through the first outer zone. Eric right there with them, matching angle for angle, doing a good job of trying to apply that pressure to Jaden. Jaden maintaining composure as they make their way into the second outer zone. Jaden staying nice and wide, doing a good job. Eric right there with them, closing that gap as they make their way into the third and final outer zone. Both cars flicking in. That's third outer zone. Doing a good job. Give it together for these two drivers. What a great chase by Eric Conkling. And that was a great lead run by Mr. Jaden Martirana.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here, Jaden, I mean, mid-line to the bank as he initiated. It could have been a lot higher. Eric was a lot higher on his lead run, so already wasn't playing in his favor. But as you can see here, knocking down that cone, but that's okay, not a zero. That's all right. So far, I mean, Eric was everywhere where Jaden was going, utilizing him as a mobile moving clipping point. And, I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think the judge is going to be able to decipher and award a winner on this one this time around. And as the judges are deliberating on that one, we are pulling up to the line. Colette Davis.
And here we have it, Eric Conklin.
Eric Conklin is going to get the win. Eric Conklin's going to get the win. And we're pulling up right now Klein Barfield and Colette Davis. Colette Davis is going to lead. This is the one more time battle between Colette Davis and Klein Barfield.
And we can't afford any more one more times.
Yeah. Colette Davis running about 600 horsepower, I believe. Sponsored by Kumho Tire, Texas Speed, and G-Force. Coming to us from Orlando as well. A lot of Central Florida drivers. And it looks like we're about ready to send these drivers. Colette Davis in the lead position in that bright Chevy Corvette. And Klein Barfield in that 350Z. Colette gapping Klein as they make their way through that first outer zone. Wow, that's about Klein just struggling to try to keep it at angle as he makes his way through that first outer zone. Now both drivers, Klein able to close that gap pretty well as they make their way through the infield, but Colette filling out that second outer zone very well, staying on throttle, nice angle, showing good commitment, nice and fluid as she makes her way through the third and final outer zone. Unfortunately, Klein pretty sloppy in the chase there, very wobbling quite often, and just it looked like he was struggling to try to keep up.
Right, and not only that, Colette is still struggling exiting the outer zone number one, coming off the bank but this time around not as much as we saw before. She comes off here, like right at the edge, knocks down one of the outer cliffs, but I don't think it was enough to kind of deem it off track. But as you mentioned already,
Klein Barfield.
Right, just struggling here, just trying to close the proximity, but just, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see, but they're going to change roles. Anything can happen. Colette, she just needs to stay calm, cool, and collective in the pocket there as she's going to chase down Klein Barfield. And away they go. Klein trying to pull out in front, but look at Colette Davis almost right there with them as they make their way into the first outer zone. Colette Davis, she knows she has the power to close that gap, so she can't put herself in a bad position. She knows she's going against a lesser horsepower car in that 350Z, but she's doing a good job. Klein taking out that second inside clip. I believe Colette's car kind of gobbled it up. And as they're making their way into the third and final outer zone.
Contact!
No! No, we don't want to see it. Let's We got water on the track. It looks like there is damage.
No, we don't need more water on the track.
Oh no, we definitely don't want to have too much cleanup. Colette, it looks like she hit. Oh, she looks like she didn't do too bad there. I don't really see much damage.
No.
So, all right, we're gonna have to clean up that track there and get Klein Barfield. That's definitely not an area where we want liquid, right? Because that's the area where the drivers are told to get as close as possible in that third outer zone.
But Colette, like leading up to it, was playing it safe, but it just so happens as when she was trying to apply the pressure.
Right here, you see it in the screen. Look,
right.
She was actually running it. I think she saw it coming, but it was just that pavement, as we mentioned before.
No grip.
The grip is just not there. The traction's not there. These drivers, these cars, what keeps them sideways, right? I mean, a lot of people think that, when you're drifting, you want it to rain, right? Because the car comes out easier. And I get that question a lot. But, yeah, here we go. Looks like we have a decision. And Colette Davis is going to go ahead and advance on to the top 32. But as I was mentioning earlier, that a lot of people go, you want it to rain when you're drifting, right? And no, that's not the case. You want to have traction, because what happens is if you don't have that traction when you're in drift, you want to try to maintain as much speed as possible. But when you switch from that the good traction that the tarmac has into the slippery section of the infield, this is what happens.
Yeah, you could say, though, like, one of the instances where you would want rain is if, like, your car is making, like, 100 horsepower. The rain will probably just give you that extra 200 horsepower boost that you've been looking for that you can't afford. I
will agree with you there, right? So it can play in the favor of those lower horsepower cars, but in a competition like this, we don't want the rain.
No,
we want, what do we want to see? We want to see smoke, and we want to see a lot of action. We're going to go ahead and cut to a quick little interview with Miss Colette Davis.
My name is Colette Davis. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I've been drifting for about 2.5 years now. This will be my first year of competition, full year of competition. And my background, I come from monster trucks, rallycross racing, and sports car racing. And so last year, I had my first few competitions in the Klutch series with my C6, but this year the C6 is completely transformed. I have a fully custom 440 NALS that Texas Speed built, and we got rid of the torque tube, and I have a front-mounted G4 transmission GSR Dodge box in the front, quick change in the rear. This is by far the wildest car that I've ever owned, built, and will be driving this year. So I have a lot to learn, but I'm really excited to test it out. Yeah, my expectations for this year, this will be my first full season of competition in drifting. I'm definitely throwing myself into the fire. I know the level of competition here is insanely high. I mean, this is the one place where you can go and compete head-to-head against the top pro drifters in the world. So my expectations are really to just try and be consistent all year long. I'm learning a new car as well, and I'm in the right place to grow as a driver, so I'm excited.
And there you have it. You got a good inside look of Colette Davis. She's been a Klutch Kickers competitor for quite a few years, and always just puts on a great show, always making sure her fans and everybody that follows her know how much she appreciates them.
Right. It's always great to see the progression, not only the progression of the driver in their skill level, but also the progression of the vehicle with the upgrades. I mean, looking back to when she first appeared at Klutch Kickers with her Corvette, we couldn't even hear the car out on the track. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, and not only that is she started, I believe, in her Barbie livery 350Z, right?
Right.
And taking that car, and almost it seemed like she wanted to go with a new platform, almost outgrowing it. And as you had mentioned, going into the Chevy Corvette, which has obviously been proven to be an excellent platform for these drivers to be able to grow as a competitor. A lot of these cars, some of these drivers, they actually outgrow their car as experience, and they either got to continue building and using that chassis, which is definitely possible because you still see S13s out there competing and doing a great job. But some people opt to go into a different chassis that they feel is going to help push them to the next level and be able to elevate their competition experience and just as a driver, be able to elevate them as a driver.
Right, and I'm just thinking back, like 10, 15 years ago, if you would say, like, oh, a Corvette's a great platform to drift, you'd probably get a response saying, like, you're crazy. There's no way. And now, as you mentioned, it's sort of like this turnaround, this interest in the Corvette, and you're seeing it on several tracks around the world how competitive it is, and it's just amazing. And the support too from the aftermarket industry,
right?
Just building upon what everyone's doing to it,
right? And that's a good point that you bring up. One of the things when a driver, if you're thinking about getting into drifting, there's things that you need to think about. Okay, right now, currently in our day, the 350Z tends to be the easiest platform and most affordable option for these drivers. But a lot of these drivers are going toward the Corvette, and there is a driver that has made that Corvette like so enticing. I just love the car. The driver's name is Dirk Stratton.
right?
So we actually have a piece on Dirk Stratton. We're going to go ahead and cut to that so you guys get a little inside look of Mr. Dirk Stratton himself.
Hey, I'm Dirk Stratton. I'm from Beloit, Ohio. I've been drifting for 10 years now, and I drive the Lingenfelder Performance Engineering Drift Vet. So we use a 2009 C6 Corvette. It's a base chassis with a steel frame. Lingenfelder Performance Engineering builds us a 454 LS7 to power the unit. We use FDF Fab steering angle setup, Fortunato Dreadnought Pro 2-way coilovers. We run Ignite racing fuel in the car. We build it all at Stratton Chevrolet. For the setup for this track specifically, honestly, I've been running on bank tracks ever since I started 10 years ago. We still have a lot to learn here because I've never driven at this track specifically, so we're really excited to get out here and see what it's really about. But as far as the bank setup goes, we're pretty much ready to go. So I drove clutch kickers all year last year and a little bit the year before. It's really grown on me, become a lot of fun for us. We can come out here and drive competitively with a serious nature, but we still have fun. Everybody here is super nice and everybody's here to have fun. Last year, I ended up getting 3rd place overall. We got a few podiums mixed in there, #1 qualifier. So we're ready to go for this year. Last year, I went against Alec Honadell a few times, and he took me out every time, so he's got the target on his back from me. I just want to thank all my friends and family that helped me out, and there's no way I could do this without them, and all my sponsors. Love you guys. See you out there. 70, baby!
And there you have it. There's a little insight behind the man himself, Dirk Stratton. Dirk Stratton, just an awesome guy, awesome driver,
Right.
great to talk to. One thing I noticed about him is that he's willing to share the knowledge that he has behind his program and in his build as well. He's helped a lot of drivers, not just in drifting, but in many forms of racing as well. So it's good to see the drivers give back and pour into these newer drivers. But once again, I want to welcome you guys. This is Season 3 of the Klutch Kickers $100,000 Drift Series, and as I mentioned before, my name is Tim Murphy, my co-host Captain Ben, and we're coming to you live from the Freedom Factory, the home of Cletus McFarland. And today is round 1, and has been proven to be just
eventful.
like eventful, just like gauntlet of just battle of will and machine. These drivers being put to the test, going back to back.
Our course workers even being put to the test.
Yeah, the course workers have been working unbelievably, and they really get unrecognized. But there you go. There's Mr. Cletus himself, Garrett out there cleaning the track. So, yeah, he's not just a pretty face for the camera. He's not just a bald eagle herder, right? You know, he's also right out there making sure the track is prepared for the drivers. He loves drifting. He's fallen in love with drifting, and he's one of our competitors today. And you're going to see him later on in the top 32. But so he's hosting, right? We see him on the track. He's being an MC. He's cleaning the track. He's drifting, competing, and the man is just doing. He's a busy man.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Doing everything, doing whatever he can to get the show on the road.
Yeah.
And it's not often that you can say that a competitor is out there picking up the track.
Absolutely not. Yeah, that's a good point. When's the last time you see not only this is his track, right?
Right.
I mean, he doesn't have to do that. He can just have somebody else do that. But no, the man is very humble, and he's out there. He's helping, making sure that this track is at its best condition for these drivers. And we want this to be here for the years to come because the layouts this track provides, one of the things as a drift series, you want to be able to provide these different layouts, right? Klutch Kickers at the Emerald Coast Dragway, as amazing as it was, the Drifter's Paradise, it was the same layout over and over again. And you would think that's a good thing. And as a driver, it is, and it isn't. If you're having a competition and these drivers are getting all this seat time on the exact same layout, it makes it more exciting, right? These drivers are comfortable, but there's not challenging them anymore, right? You want to challenge yourself as a driver. And one of the, I would say the number one response to a question that I ask a lot of these drivers is, what do you enjoy about competition? Just about every driver said they love competition because it pushes them to the next level. Without competition, without those nervous jitters, and some drivers, I think every driver said, well, not every driver, most of the drivers did say they still get nervous, and I know I was getting nervous when I was competing. That's all part of it. But it teaches you as a driver to be able to hold that in, compose yourself, and still be competitive and focus on what the task is at hand, and that's to take home the victory.
Right. And over here on the display, you can see the top 64 lineup. We still have plenty of battles to go. At least we've gone through one half of the top 64 bracket, and I mean, you still have some heavy hitters ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Chelsea Enough, Taylor Ray, Sean Booth,
Wow.
Brandon Wicknick. I want to be surprised if that goes one more time. I mean, he's had a history of 1 more 10 battles.
Yeah, but I will definitely say the next two of the next battles that well, actually 3. I want to that Dirk Stratton versus Sammy Tiger, which is our next battle on deck, is going to be a great battle. Sammy Tiger, a veteran of the sport. Chelsea Denofa versus Taylor Ray. Sean Booth versus Zach Calvin. We have some great Nick Ward versus Jason Dixon. So we have some great battles coming up. It's going to be interesting. You definitely don't want to walk away. Looks like the track is just about cleaned up, and the judges are making their way back and getting locked and loaded. And I'm hearing from the track they're ready to burn. We're gonna get this done. There you go. You see Sammy Tiger in that convertible 240 SX, and Dirk Stratton in that Lingenfelter Oracle Lighting Chevy Corvette.
Right. In the previous round, he was actually the #1 qualifier, so he's a top contender.
Yeah, and he's not local either. He comes all the way from Beloit, Ohio, in that Chevy Corvette, pushing it. I found this interesting. When I asked him, how much horsepower do you have? He said 666.
Oh.
Right, so Sammy Tiger's got his handful. Can he exercise the demons out of Dirk Stratton's Chevy Corvette? I don't know. We shall see.
Hearsay, sir. Hearsay.
But yes, Dirk Stratton and Sammy Tiger. Sammy Tiger, I had the privilege of competing with him in the Streetwise Drift Series, I don't know, about 10 years ago. And just about a year and a half ago, Sammy Tiger came out of retirement, out of hibernation, you may say. Still in the same car, different power plant.
Yeah, but he was known to have a different car.
He was always known to have a different car. He was.
Well, the Skyline.
The Skyline, yeah, that's true. But he's here in the same car that I competed against him with in 10 years ago. So it's good to see that he's still driving the same chassis. So Dirk Stratton's going to lead. Sammy Tiger's going to chase. And this can go either way. Dirk Stratton, a fierce competitor. Sammy Tiger bringing all that experience. And Sammy Tiger does a great job on the bank. I saw him in practice yesterday. He was really nice and high on the bank. So we'll see. This is definitely not going to be an easy win for either driver. As you can see, Tiger right on the side there. That's a beautiful little car there.
Oh, which one?
Oh, I was looking at Sammy Tiger's S13.
Ah.
It's a classic look. Not as popular as it used to be. They're starting to be more of a unicorn,
Right.
especially to be able to find
A collector's piece.
A collector's piece, that's for sure. There you go. You have Mr. Dirk Stratton getting locked and loaded, putting his visor down. Very important. Can't tell you how many times I've been in a tandem with my visor up and getting chunks of tire.
Oh.
Yeah, when you're in that chase position, you want to keep that visor closed if at all possible. There you go, Sammy Tiger getting locked and loaded. Oh, Sammy
getting a
Tiger.
little jump.
Yeah, a little jump there. Sammy Tiger trying to keep that proximity. He knows he's got a little less horsepower, but here they go as they work their way through the first outer zone. Look at Dirk Stratton high on that wall. Sammy Tiger running that shallow line. Sammy Tiger trying to close that gap as they make their way into the center section of the course, passing that second inside clip. Sammy Tiger trying to surge forward, get deep in that pocket, but Dirk Stratton just pouring on the smoke. It's nice and wide, filling out that second outer zone. Textbook as they make their way into the third and final outer zone. Great job, guys. Give it up for these drivers. That was a great tandem right there.
I mean, Dirk Stratton with that sensational lead run, and Sammy Tiger just trying to do whatever he can. And he did a phenomenal job in the chase position. Obviously, there's a power difference, and he tried to work whatever he did to make it happen. But unlike the other competitors having the struggle of power issues, I mean, he made it work. He was there. I mean, there wasn't a significant difference that was being brought on throughout the entirety of the course. And great job from both of the drivers considering the circumstances.
Yeah, you know what's interesting that, you know, with Sammy Tiger, you know, you show his experience here because he knows he's going against a faster car. And the chase driver is allowed to jump the light a little bit in order to get a jump because he's to try to keep that proximity as close as possible down the straight. But running a shallow line, not really sacrificing much angle, just a little bit of line. But here we go as they swap positions. Sammy Tiger on front. Dirk is not going to give it to him easy as they make their way through the first. Whoa, Sammy a little shaky on entry, but it's not phasing Dirk Stratton. Dirk Stratton able to hold it together as they make their way in the center of the track past this second inside clip. Both drivers flicking into the second outer zone. Dirk Stratton going to close that gap. Sammy running a much shallower line through that second outside zone. Now both cars flicking through the third and final outer zone. Dirk Stratton maintaining composure, trying to close that gap as they work. Put your hands together for Dirk Stratton and Sammy Tiger.
Yeah, I feel like Sammy Tiger just, I mean, he really struggled going into the bank as he straightened out. Maybe you could say he reinitiated, but it's just unfortunate because it was looking really good, really promising on the first half of the battle. Now on the second half, I mean, Dirk didn't make any major significant mistakes, but Sammy Tiger just, I mean, right there he could have been wider on outer zone number 2, but wasn't. And
yeah,
I don't know, we'll get a decision over here as both of the drivers are already going back to the pits.
All right, well, I'm going to try to thank some sponsors. We want to thank BC Racing, Nitrous Outlet, Grip Royal, ECU Masters USA, Champion Racing Oil, and Haltech. And it looks like we have a decision. Dirk Stratton moving on to the top 32. Unfortunately, Sammy Tiger is going to have to call it a day, but what a valiant effort. What a first battle, right? I mean, we're still in the top. We're rounding out the end of the top 64. I want to go ahead and finish thanking our sponsors, Drift HQ, Tire Streets, Ignite Racing Fuel, Kensei Wheels, Fuel Lab, Doucheworks, and Radium Engineering. We also have several vendors. We have the Klutch Kicker selling merch, BC Racing, LZ, MFG, ECU Masters is here, Champion Race Oil is here, Nitrous Outlet, Yankee Special with some amazing designs, and Kensei Wheels, Grip Royal, Haltech, and I believe we also have Bridge Moto down there as well selling some safety gear and some nice clothing. I'll say purchase a jacket.
All right, and coming up now, Zandara Kennedy going up against Josh McGuire. Looks like Josh McGuire is going to be taking the lead position.
Yes. And as they make their way down the straight, Josh McGuire banging off the rev limiter as they make their way through the first outer zone. High on that wall, doing a good job trying to fill out that first outer zone. Zandara trying to keep that gap as minimal as possible, running a shallower line. Ooh, little bobble there from the chase position as Zandara makes their way into the second outer zone. Josh McGuire doing a great job filling out that outer zone. Full throttle, nice angle. Now they flick into the third and final outer zone. Making their way. Zandara's doing a pretty good job for the most part. Oh! Wow. That was a interesting little bobble there from Josh in that lead position.
Right, Zandara, newcomer to the series from Canada.
Yeah, Zandara all the way from Canada, a stunt driver. She's actually done some stunt driving in some Netflix films as well. Yeah, so she's definitely a capable driver coming out here competing from stunt driver to drift competitor. And she's definitely showing she has what it takes to chase down the other driver.
Yeah, but Josh McGuire, what happened here? Just coming off the exit, all he needed to do was just keep it tight, not go wide, but I just think, what happened?
I don't know. There you go. It was a tap. That tap straightened him out.
Right.
Wow. So now it's interesting. I mean, Joshua was putting a great lead run down. Zandara was standing there right there with him. She did sacrifice a little angle and some line to try to maintain that proximity. So we'll see. We'll have to see how that weighs into the judges' eyes as far as mistake versus mistakes. But now they're changing positions. Zandara Kennedy in the lead position all the way from Canada, and Josh McGuire going to give chase.
From Austin, Texas.
From Austin, Texas.
Zach was looking over the Josh McGuire's vehicle, making sure that it was safe to run, and looks like it is, as they're going to go ahead and send it.
So we're almost done with this top 64 lineup, and immediately after top 64, we're going right into top 32, and immediately after top 32, we're going to go to top 16, grade 8, final 4, and we're going to try to get this done before the weather gets bad. But here we go. Zendara out front. Zendara trying to put a gap on Josh as they make their way through the straight. Zendara going to flick it in. She's going to try to get
I
nice
see
and
the
high on
restart
the wall.
light.
Oh, the restart light. Oh, look at that. Unfortunately, there was a restart. Joshua was able to see it. Zendara, I believe she missed that restart light and was not able to see it. So we're going to have to, this run does not count. This is not going to be a judged run. But both drivers are going to have to make their way back to the start line and finish off the second half of this battle. So we'll get some word back from the judges, see if we can find what happened during that restart, what caused the restart.
It's unfortunate now Zendara has less grip to deal with that she could utilize to her advantage to try to gain some distance.
Yeah, unfortunately,
against Josh.
Unfortunately, during a restart, there is a restart light. The drivers are told to keep an eye out for it, and if that restart lights up, they basically are told to shut down. But unfortunately, sometimes the drivers miss that, and as you can see, I believe that was Zach letting her know that hey, the restart light went off. You missed it, so that run didn't count. Make sure both drivers know what's going on. All right, we're going to run this. That last run did not count. And as if it never happened, we're going to send them again. I like that livery. That's a beautiful design on that wrap.
Very indicative of what's going on.
Yeah, it is
beware
a
of
battle.
blast. And
It's a battle out there. But she looks like she's ready for war as they go down the straight. Zendara back out in front again, already smoking the tires out the gate. And both cars flicking into the first outer zone. Zendara running midline throughout the bank, could be a little higher. Josh trying to close that gap, but Zendara, nice angle as she flicks it into the second inside clip, into the second outer zone. Both drivers doing a good job. Kind of midline, but Josh trying to close that gap as they make their way through the third and final outer zone. This is the danger zone. It gets very slippery here, and cars have been known to spin or straighten out there, but Zendara able to hold together. Give it up for Josh and Zendara.
I mean, he's surprised that bumper is still on the car.
It's got some good zip ties on there.
But Zendara, I mean, could have been a little higher on the bank, but doing a good job there, just not losing drift as they make their way into the infield. Josh McGuire just trying to apply some pressure, but he couldn't as he was trying to just find himself into the pocket. But Zendara there reaching out to the outer zone. She needs to be, but Zendara right here doing a much better job of not hitting the wall, making it through.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious to see what the judges are going to think.
You know, and one thing I want to point out is if you check out Zendara's Instagram page, as I checked out a lot of these drivers' Instagram page to kind of get some understanding of what they go through, she's used to crashing and stuff because she is a stunt driver. You know, she has some pretty cool cuts where, you know, she's running into stuff, crashing stuff. So, you know, being able to maintain composure as a stunt driver, she's able to take that experience as a stunt driver and apply it to a competition setting in clutch kickers. Now, it did look like she initiated very late there.
Well, no, this is actually going back to the first run of this battle.
Oh, okay.
Right, and the judges are wanting
Oh,
need to look, trying to find something over here.
So what the judges are looking for? They're looking for different bobbles and possibly straightens. If a driver, as these drivers are going around, they're drifting around the track, they're supposed to keep their cars sideways the whole time. If they spin out, it's going to give them a 0. If they straighten out, it's a 0. 2 tires off track is a 0. As a lead driver, they have to put down a nice qualifying run. They want to hit all the zones and the clipping points, but the chase driver's responsibility is to mimic that lead driver as a mobile clipping point, meaning they have to just mimic their line, right? It's like you're playing like the mime game. You just want to be side by side and follow that lead driver, but the important part is not getting in their way.
Right, and the other important part is if the lead driver is going off track, you don't want to follow him.
Well, you don't want to follow him, but if the lead driver goes off track and you go off track chasing the lead driver, the judges are going to fault that lead driver. If the lead driver goes offline and you're the chase driver, your duty is to follow and mimic that lead driver. Not only do you have to follow possibly a bad line, a really shallow line,
Possibly.
an incorrect line, a line that you're not used to, you do have to allow that lead driver the right of way. So that means during transitions, as these cars flick back and forth, you'll see them, they're drifting one way, and then they flick back to the other way, and now they transition their drift. During that transition, if that chase driver puts himself in a position, what I believe we saw yesterday, certain drivers were putting themselves in a position that just left a chance for a collision. So that chase driver has to allow the lead driver to run his run, but be as close as possible.
And two major transitions that you're just touching on is when you're coming off the bank, we've seen a lot of drivers having issues there. And not to mention over here, just setting up for the infield, the final outer zone, from outer zone 2 to outer zone 3, that's been a couple of issues there too.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Taxi Garage out here representing. And I see Mr. Ryan Kaufman down there, unfortunately.
We have a
had to call it
decision.
a day, but we do have a decision. Josh McGuire is going to take the win. Unfortunately, Kennedy must have made, I guess, too many mistakes and wasn't able to edge out the victory. So Josh McGuire is going to advance on to the top 32, but it was a valiant effort by Zendara Kennedy, that stunt driver from Canada.
So now it looks like we're having Sean Booth against Zach Calvin.
This is going to be a great battle. Sean Booth in his S15, just love that car. You know, when we first saw that car at Klutch Kickers, it looked like it just rolled out of the showroom almost. But if you look at it as the battles have gone on, I mean, it's still a beautiful car, but look, his bumper's already fallen off. And he's taken that car and turned it into a battle machine.
Right. And he has to make sure that bumper stays on, right?
I believe so. I know they're looking for I know if it falls off for a collision, the bumpers, they're not too concerned about that, but I know definitely we want to make sure the hoods, the doors, the hatches and the trunks, the garage, not the garage door, but the gas door.
Oh, not just that, the roof too. We've seen
Yeah,
roof.
we have seen roofs fly off as well, so we want to make sure everything stays in one piece and that the drivers make a full pull, because there's nothing worse than losing a battle, as we saw earlier. We saw that last season with Adam LZ during qualifying.
Right.
I believe he would have had the highest qualifying score had his trunk not open.
Right.
So it can.
Oh, well, there you go. That takes care of that.
See? Zach is always on top of it. There you go.
Zach's on the case. He's like, nope, can't have that out there.
It almost looked like Sean's like, what did you just do? All right, Sean Booth is going to lead. Zach Calvin's going to give chase as we're rounding out the bottom half of this top 64 bracket. You guys can check the live bracket. It's on clutchkickers.com/100K Drift Series. clutchkickers.com/100K Drift Series. Just continue to refresh the page and you will see the bracket populate as the event goes on. And away they go. Sean Booth out front. He's going to try to put a gap on Zach Calvin. Zach almost right there with him in that Cosmo Tire Corvette. Whoa, Zach, major corrections in the chase position as they make their way. Sean Booth doing a great job filling out the outer zone, but unfortunately missing that first inside clip almost completely. And here both cars flicking into the second outer zone. Sean Booth doing a nice job, pouring on the smoke, pouring on the angle, showing good commitment. Not as deep as he could have been, and kind of shallow in that third outer zone as well. Running a very shallow line, Sean Booth, unfortunately, but I'll tell you, Zach Calvin just had some major mistakes in that chase position, as we'll see in the replay.
Right. And just wondering what happened exactly. I mean, Zach Calvin was there when it needed to be, but I guess he just couldn't get it to kick out, and he was just struggling, and all the way up to like midway to the bank, it looks like. Maybe too much grip, perhaps?
Could be, I don't know.
But who knows? But Sean Booth, though, just not a perfect run, but I think it was just where he needed to be, where he needs to. And the responsibility of his spotter now is just to let him know, like, hey, look, you got this. Don't get too carried away. You got a clear advantage, so just send it home.
Yeah. I mean,
or bring it home, I'm sorry.
Bring it home, there you go. And here we go, Zach Calvin out front. Sean Booth going to give chase. Sean Booth sitting on the advantage as they make their way into the first outer zone. Sean Booth, he's going to probably try to play a little safe. He doesn't want to put himself in a bad position. Zach Calvin way wide as they come through that first inside clip, flicking it through the infield. right on, almost on his door. Sean Booth really trying to apply that pressure to Zach Calvin as they make their way through the second outer zone. Both cars flicking in, shallow line just as before.
Oh!
Wow, almost a spin, dead stall. That definitely, Zach Calvin just slowing down way too much, avoiding a spin and collision. Sean Booth able to adapt and overcome those quick changes.
It's like you see those moments and it makes you pucker up a bit.
Yeah, that was definitely pucker factor. I did say pucker with a P.
Yes. I
Here we
mean, Zach Calvin finally getting his car to get sideways, going into the bank, and just, I mean, not a lot of smoke, but Sean Booth doing a good job of just being there and just right here going into outer zone number 2, just right there. But already we have a decision, and we have Sean Booth.
There you go. Sean Booth is going to advance on at top 32. Unfortunately, Zach Calvin's going to have to call it a weekend. Not without having a hard-fought battle, but just making too many mistakes in the chase and lead position. Sean Booth was able to edge out the victory, and now we have an excellent battle. This is a finals battle, right? It's such a shame to see these two drivers go at it in a top 64. Chelsea DeNova in his Fox Body Ford Mustang. Almost, there's so many Chevys out here. I just want to say Chevy, but no, definitely not. Chelsea DeNova in that white Fox Body Mustang out here to do battle against Taylor Ray. Both of these guys close friends, but when they're behind the wheel, fierce competitors.
Right, but do believe they have the same spotter, so
They share the same spotter, so how do you... Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, who is their spotter?
I'd have to check with that. I just heard that. But I think you could argue maybe like a nostalgic battle between these two vehicles.
This is actually probably going to be one of the best battles of the weekend. It's fortunate that we're seeing it now, but it's unfortunate we're not going to see one of these drivers in the top 32. So somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and it's unfortunate. Taylor Ray is going to lead in that little black Miata. Chelsea DeNova giving chase in his Fox Body Mustang as they make their way into the first. Look at Chelsea DeNova applying that pressure right out the gate, door to door around that first outer zone. This is what we want to see. Folks, give it up as these two drivers make it through Chelsea DeNova. He knows he can trust Taylor Ray's going to... Oh! Almost right in the door of that little Miata. Why, you guys got to give it up. This is an excellent battle. Taylor Ray doing a great job in the lead position, but Chelsea DeNova, he's not going to give him an inch, and I'm literally meaning he's not giving him inches. He's right there with them. Wow, both drivers, give it up. That might have just been the battle of the weekend. Top 64. What?
That was insane.
I don't want to be a judge. I don't want to be a judge.
No,
how do you judge something like that?
I don't know.
Because Taylor Ray doing an excellent job in that lead position, but look at that replay. Look at Chelsea showing his experience. Oh, and that's not a typical V8 Mustang either. He's got an EcoBoost.
Well, actually, no. See, I was just going to say the contrast, the different approaches that both drivers took. So Taylor Ray gained 4 cylinders.
Yep.
Wow. Chelsea DeNova lost 4 cylinders. So he's running a 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine in that Ford Mustang, and Taylor Ray with that LS V8 in that Mazda Miata.
Wow. Well, here we go. They switch roles. Taylor Ray trying to get that jump. He doesn't want to give an inch. And now as they make their way into the straight, Chelsea DeNova out front. Taylor Ray trying to surge forward, close that pocket. He wants to put that pressure, and he's getting close. Not quite as close as Chelsea was in that pocket. Whoa! Almost
careful.
A collision. Oh, coming in too hot. Taylor Ray had to make a correction, causing him to fall back. Chelsea DeNova showing his experience and shining through as he rides that outer edge of that second outer zone. It's not over yet, folks, as they make their way into the third and final outer zone. Give it up for these two drivers, Taylor Ray and Chelsea DeNova. Wow, that was a great run. Great run. And it wasn't a bad chase run, but unfortunately, Taylor Ray just looked like he was going to collide with Chelsea and just made too much of a correction.
Right, and he put himself in a bad position going into the second into the infield, and boy, it's just unfortunate over here as he just lost that proximity that he was looking for.
Right. But Chelsea doing a great job in that Fox Body Mustang. He's been building that. Chelsea, a last-minute sign-up in the competitors list, gracing us with his presence. And I almost wonder if he just planned to do that, right? Like maybe he planned to compete all along, but he just wanted to wait to the last minute and then be that last-minute possible upset of the competition. Chelsea Denofa, he has competed with Klutch Kickers before using a Drift HQ car in the past, but here we go. We got slide him left, Chelsea Denofa. Slide him right, Taylor Ray, and there you have it. Chelsea Denofa is going to take the win. Chelsea Denofa going on to the top 32. Taylor Ray, we are not used to seeing Taylor Ray being knocked out in the top 64, but if anybody could do it, it was definitely Chelsea Denofa, and I'm sure that he's not happy that he's not making it in the top 32, but I mean, you got to give it to him. I mean, going against a driver like Chelsea Denofa is no easy task, but it was a great battle. Chelsea just proving his experience in that chase position. One of the best chase drivers of all time, I believe. And these drivers are gonna have their handful with that little Ford Mustang. But it looks like up next we have the. All right, there we go. We got Nick Ward, Taxi Garage, leading, and Jason Dixon chasing. Jason Dixon really far back. Nick Ward doing a great job getting high on that bank, coming down to the infield, nice and tight on that inside clip. Jason needs to close that gap. Wow, Nick Ward's carrying a lot of speed in that Taxi Garage S14 as they make their way through. Wow, Nick, great job filling up that second outer zone, right on the edge, flicking it into the third and final outer zone, tapping the wall. Ooh, kind of straightened him out a little bit, but he still was able to maintain control of the car. Jason Dixon trying to close that gap, but Nick Ward definitely putting a gap right here, as you see in the replay. Probably about 4 or 5 cars as he initiates. Both drivers initiating. Nick Ward doing a pretty good job getting high on that bank, coming down to the infield, passing that first inside clip a few feet off, flicking it in, going past the taking out the second inside clip, and both drivers flicking into the second outer zone. Look at Nick Ward right on the edge there. Jason's trying to close that gap, not able to until we get into that infield. And Nick just coming in hot, flicking it in, bobbling, just coming a little too hot, tapping the wall just a little too much. And we'll see how that plays in the judge's eyes as the driver swap positions. There you go. Taxi Garage. If you guys don't know, now you know. These guys are going everywhere in their little crazy carts. And Ben, we got to drive their little crazy carts. You were more self-controlled, and I kind of just went a little kind of crazy and started crashing into stuff. My leg still hurts. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. Jason Dixon, he's going to lead. Nick Ward right there with them, door to door, as they flick it into the first outer zone. Nick Ward trying to close that gap as they make their way through the first outer zone. Jason,
where's he going?
Where's he going? Nick Ward has just got to hold it together as he makes his way through the second outer zone. This might be it for Jason Dixon. We'll see. Nick Ward dropping tire, still keeping drift, flicking into the third outer zone. Jason Dixon just driving right off the course. It looks like he may have suffered some mechanical damage. Give it up for Nick Ward in the Taxi Garage S14.
I mean, I saw from his spotter freaking out when
Jason?
he just hit the wall. Nick Ward.
Oh, Nick Ward, yeah. He was getting a little saucy as he made his way into the infield there. But here you go. You see Jason Dixon out front, and he just comes way wide and just straighten out. Didn't phase Nick Ward, though. Nick Ward stayed in drift and finished out his run.
I mean, it's almost as if Jason Dixon left the building. I mean, he hasn't even...
Yeah, exit stage right.
Right. All right, so we're taking a look back at the first run. We get to see Nick Ward again hitting the wall right there. A little late at the initiation, but that's okay.
So there's a few things that the judge is taking into consideration. I don't think it played a role in this, but as a lead driver, you have to put down a good lead run, right? You can't just run any line you want. You have to run in the pockets, right? You have to be deep in the zones. You have to be nice and tight on those inside clips.
Bink. Right there.
So yeah, so as a lead driver, that's your responsibility. As a chase driver, you want to mimic that. And what got to see here is that the lead driver just went way off course, and Nick Ward just adapted and just kept going and didn't follow that way off line.
Right. But Nick Ward had to be careful because, as you saw, he dropped a tire pretty significantly in outer zone number 2, setting up for the outer zone number 3.
But there also goes back to that. Does the chase driver have to finish his run if the lead driver is already zeroed out?
Right.
So that may not even be a factor.
Right, so we're taking another replay at Nick Ward taking the lead with Jason out back. So I'm just curious to see what the judges are looking for.
Just
I mean,
trying to analyze
he
it.
took out those inner clips, so that's a big negative.
I guess they're looking for what could possibly be a zero. Okay, the judges want to analyze it because once the judges make a call, the drivers do have the opportunity to challenge the call and try to overturn. And we've seen it in the past. Most of the times, the judges are able to utilize these different camera angles and be able to assess a winner. For the most part, you're not going to see many protests in clutch kickers, but you do see them. So being able to have this footage, drone footage, and multiple angles throughout the course is going to help the judges determine that winner. But they want to make sure they don't have a protest, right? Because a protest slows down the competition, and it's frustrating for the judges, the drivers, and the audience that are here as well. So right now in the burnout box, we have Savio Silva and Brian Bocia, I believe. Hopefully I'm saying that right.
Just call him
Brian. Just call him Brian. Yeah. They're both at the line. Savio, of course, Drift HQ. He's in that iconic green S14 that we've seen. Duarte's green E46. Also, one of the previous sponsored cars was Alex Schlegel. He's also green.
We got a decision. Nick Ward.
Nick Ward's okay. So there you go. Having Nick Ward's going to advance on to the top 32. Unfortunately, Jason Dixon, he's going to have to call it a weekend. Nick, he's got to get his car together. Hopefully, his crew and his teammate down there, Ryan Kaufman, they're going to be able to get that car, make sure it's tip-top shape for the next battle. But right now, we have Savio Silva and Brian Bocia. Savio out front. Savio, you can hear just bouncing off the rev limiter as they make their way into the first outer zone. Both cars doing a good job midline through that first outer zone. Brian looks like he's bobbling in that chase position a little, but he's able to maintain control, stay focused as they make their way into the second outer zone. Major bobble there in the chase position by Brian. The judges are definitely going to have to assess that as both cars flick it into the third outer zone. Savio way offline, way inside.
Yeah, rearranging the track.
Yeah, kind of screwing those cones along. So yeah, just Savio way offline on that third outer zone. As you can see, both cars. Brian doing a good job trying to stay close to Savio as they make their way through that first outer zone. Savio making a mistake as he enters, not getting deep into that first outer zone as early as he should have.
And it was playing in his favor. Things were looking good. I mean, Brian's having some issues out back, as you can see, maybe not getting into drift as quickly as he wanted to when he transitioned into outer zone number 2. But over here, how deep did Savio go into that infield?
Correct. So the judges got to look at that replay and assess whether. So taking out these cones, the cones are marking what the track, right? So if you see the cones, they're not there to hit. You don't get extra points, right? They're there to mark the edge of the track. So the drivers are not to be hitting those cones. Now sometimes you're going to hit them, but to what extent? I know a lot of times the judges are looking at what area of the car hit the cones, especially on the inside clips. One thing that will cause a zero if a driver takes out a cone with the leading edge of their car, means they're way offline. That's just letting the judges know that, hey, listen, we gave you a line to run and you're not running it. So unfortunately, we'll see how that plays out. But Brian's going to lead. Savio give chase. Savio definitely a fierce competitor from the chase position as both drivers. Whoa, Brian straightening out on a straight. Savio, I don't know if that phased him, but diving way in. Savio way off. Both drivers really way offline. I don't know. This definitely wasn't what I was expecting to see here. Both drivers just having several mistakes as they work their way throughout the course. Brian doing a good job filling out that third outer zone, but I believe he's already made so many mistakes that I don't know if he's going to be able to come back from that. And those mistakes may have affected Savio. I don't know.
Right, and mistakes from both drivers, and it's just unfortunate to see. I mean, you have Savio doing a good job going into the bank, but Brian just struggling to initiate. But then, as you see here, Savio just going way off track, exiting the bank. But,
well, I'll tell you right now, either one of these drivers, whoever wins, is not going to have an easy time because they're going to have to go up against the returning champion, Alec Honadale.
Oh.
So, guys, tune in. Log into the bracket. You guys can watch the live bracket. Continue to refresh it. And
we're going to take a look back at the, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Gonna take a look back at the first run with Savio taking the lead. So what exactly are the judges trying to look for here? So Savio was midway to the bank. Brian struggling out back.
Yeah, but then one can say, hey, you know, is the lead driver's poor line causing those errors for the chase driver, right? So the judges
That's a
have to
good
look
argument.
at that. The judges have to look, okay, yes, the chase driver, maybe he wobbled and he made some mistakes, but was that caused by something the lead car was doing, right? Because some of these drivers, you see the lead car do something odd, and it can throw you off. And actually in our screen right now, you see Mr. Hurt himself. He got a bye run for the top 64. This is going to be the first run of the top 32 bracket. So like I